It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a rainy, drizzly, kind of nasty Thursday in Nashville. I think the good news is it's only supposed to be, I guess, today. I'll look this up real quick. I don't think this is basically today. So tomorrow we get back to pretty decent weather for February. Let's go to Murfreesboro. Kelly, I hope my sport coat meets your approval.
I'm about to say that. You do have more than one blazer, the navy blue blazer. I like it. Oh, yeah. Way to go. Did you have a date today or something? What's up?
The deal was I spoke to I guess I was the speaker for the Chamber of Commerce with a group of new people in Nashville about sports in the city over the last 30 years.
How did it work out? Good?
It was fun. They were great. They were hilarious. And they didn't fall asleep, and I'm appreciative of that.
But then how long did you talk?
Between the moderator and then the Q&A out of the audience, I don't know, 40 minutes.
Okay. All right. Nice. I nice question and answer deal.
Tried to spruce it up a little bit. We put a little.
I like it. Yeah. I do.
Okay.
I like it.
Thank you.
How old is it? How old is that one?
Nice. Very nice.
You still fit it good over all the years and all the LBs that you put on. You still fit it further well.
Yeah. It's it must be a later model.
I meant to tell you too yesterday when you missed the meeting the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you don't mind, but I volunteered you to go get the plaques before the event.
Oh no! Did you really?
Southern Trophy House, dude. Go get them.
Okay, gotcha. Will do.
But I don't know if anybody listened to me. You know how it goes over when I say something. I mean, normally it's like Holcomb's talking, so we're just not going to listen.
Respect level not overly high in that board.
Not overly high at that. No, absolutely. Especially when we've been in there for 45 minutes and Wally's been talking, and we want to leave. Yeah, I don't know if anybody heard me, but I did volunteer you for that.
Thank you. That was mighty kind of you. Billy, do we anytime in our future have an update?
We do.
Really?
We do. We're going to start with.
Is it a good one?
I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
This light looks way too bright on me right now. Mm-hmm. Might have to turn that one off. But we had a big night of college hoops.
Look a little washed out.
Yeah, a little bit. Vandy loses to Georgia.
Move on.
76-64.
Move on.
We'll talk Vandy later. Alabama and Florida. Big game. Another game where Alabama, they could have gotten to 100. They were finished with 98. They beat Florida 98-93 in overtime. And Alabama.
Big L for Daddy.
Sorry, George. Sorry, George.
They must have played. I didn't get to see it. I went down to Vandy in Georgia.
Alabama was losing pretty much the whole game, and they tied it there at the end. And, I know you were probably getting excited because they got up by 7 in the overtime, and then Florida made kind of a little run, but didn't. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about you. Yeah, you lost another one, big dog.
There have been several lately.
Alabama stays atop the SEC with that. And meanwhile, down in Baton Rouge, LSU pulls off a wild one over Kentucky, 75-74. Jordan Wright drives in. He kind of lost it, didn't even really get a shot up, lobs it up, which ended up being a perfect pass for LSU to just tip it in at the buzzer. And then they get fined $100,000 for storming the court. But I don't think that's a hit to their pockets at all.
No, that's probably a kicking tee for the football program.
Yeah. with all the money they've got.
Let me ask you this, though. Okay, so it muted some of the Kentucky people who were pissed off at Calipari. And now all of a sudden, 3 days later, that's not a real good loss for Kentucky. So,
No.
I mean, Calipari is under constant heat from this group. And, this really kind of feels like it's kind of run its course. And, I mean, I don't think anything's going to happen. I'm not suggesting that. But the love affair is long since over.
I think so too. And I think it's just amazing. Like, if you ever think about it, George, all these guys get paid lots of money to coach 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old kids. Like their minds are not on a lot of times what you want them to be on. And sometimes the desire is not there. And we put our careers in the hands of not very mature young men sometimes, and it's just like they can go to Auburn and they can play the game that they played, and then they come back to LSU and just lay an egg.
And
Of
you're
course,
like,
they
how
got beat
can
by
that
1
be?
point. Yeah, how can that be? Like, how does that happen?
The other thing that you cannot maybe underestimate is this is a time of the year where the word spring break
Yes.
Yep.
drop into teams that are not doing well.
Yep.
And they get in a dorm room and they're all like, screw this, man, it's time for spring break.
Yeah.
Correct.
It happens.
It's exactly how it does happen. Absolutely. I can remember my college coach was always telling us, son, if you go to spring break, make sure you don't get sunburned, because if you get sunburned, son, you can't practice. That's how he talked. And he was absolutely right, because years before I got there, he had that speech every year in spring practice. Because before I got there were guys that came back and they were burnt and they could not put their pads on. How do you think Coach Donnelly took that?
Ooh, not well.
Not good.
Not well.
And later last night as well, Mississippi State beat Ole Miss 83-71, and all of a sudden Ole Miss is, I think, in danger of maybe missing the tournament. I mean,
I would think today they would take Dayton and never play again.
Yeah.
Be assigned to Dayton to really try to get in the tournament. One of those teams, Ole Miss, A&M, Mississippi State, one of them's going to end up in Dayton.
Yeah. I still see the SEC with enough depth to where, I mean, obviously you just said it, Ole Miss can still get to Dayton, I think. But it's just, the margin for error now is so small.
Oh, it's much. I mean, for a team that went, 13-0 preseason?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting to see the real makeup of a lot of these teams. South Carolina, Ole Miss, they had great starts, but, I mean, they weren't playing really much of anybody in the non-conference. So now they're starting to get into the meat of the SEC. Tonight in L.A., Preds and the Kings, 9:30, late puck drop.
It's on ESPN Plus.
Uh-huh. So no Willie.
I don't think so.
Okay. So he's not out in L.A., I would guess.
No, I'm guessing
Or are
he
they?
is. I don't
Okay.
know.
Also in golf, Tiger Woods' son Charlie fell short in his PGA Tour pre-qualifier. So no Charlie Woods. His hopes of competing in the Cognizant Classic next week as the 15-year-old son of Tiger Woods failed. The fact that he was, well, how does that work? I mean, Kelly, how do you even, I mean, he's Tiger Woods' son. So obviously,
Billy, I have no idea how that works, man. I really don't. I mean, I know just watching that father-son deal that they had at the beginning of the year, that kid has gotten where he can actually smash a golf ball. You watch him kind of grow up the last couple of years, and now he's to the point where he can swat that golf ball, man. He's got all the same mannerisms as his dad, but I don't understand that. I didn't, I guess there's qualifying for each tournament that you can do, but man, at 15, I don't know. He's going to get there at some point because I'm sure he's relentless working like his dad was.
Yeah. He is he's unbelievable already. And he's pretty good size too. Pretty good sized kid already. Let's see here. Not a lot going on. EA Sports college football video game, of course, is coming out. The players can start opting into that, whatever that means. So I'll say for the younger generation, I think that is going to be cool to see that. I think players are getting $600 for that. So they'll receive $600 after opting in, and they'll receive a copy of the game. That's usually valued at $70. So it's all about the money now.
Okay, let me toss one in here. Some of you may know this. A good friend of ours, Eli Gold, not returning to be the voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide next season. Without me getting into specifics, I'm disgusted.
Yep.
Really?
Seriously, man, I don't know. That's part of Alabama football.
I've got a feeling that, first of all, it's been an underreported story. I've had a pretty good idea for about a month that this was coming. I'm just kind of disgusted.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I don't know. It's just not going to be right. Like when you listen to Alabama football and you don't hear Eli Gold. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know that was happening either, George. I had no idea.
And this wasn't him leaving on his own. The school decided not to bring him back. So he'll land on his feet. He's
I know, but there's no loyalty whatsoever in college sports and pro sport, in any sport anymore. There's no loyalty whatsoever.
Yeah, obviously, we know about his health issues, the cancer treatments, but I mean, he was back, and healthy. I mean, we had him on, didn't we? Or maybe that was.
I don't remember the last time we had Eli.
Maybe
on.
I'm wrong there, but I mean, it's not like he was in poor health. I mean, I remember. I think
he's doing. Look, I talked to him right at the start of the new year. I think everything health wise is checking out good, which we're all grateful for. This just isn't right. That's all I'm going to say. It's just not right. And I'm sure there's some Alabama people out there who are in agreement with me.
Oh, absolutely. The majority of them, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
We, like I said, not a lot, but spring training underway. I'm seeing the Dodgers are playing the Padres right now. Braves.
So we're at pitchers and catchers have reported.
Oh, we're past that.
Okay, but I mean, as far as the update.
Yeah, it's very slim update.
We're down to pitchers and catchers reporting.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, boy.
Way to go, Billy. Way to go, Billy.
You may have to make up some stories.
You can only do what the news gives you, though, right, Billy?
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much at all. George didn't want to talk Vandy until Coach B gets here, so.
Well,
oh, boy.
Okay, let me ask you this. What would you want me to say?
I'll give a little update to the people. I mean,
how proud I am of
their effort
yet another loss.
Yeah.
What would you look? I think one of the things that maybe has gone on for me, this one's really pretty close to home. Having once been an announcer there, kind of grown up in the shadows of that gym. Vandy Basketball is a huge part of my life. You look at the bowling event I do, and you see how many of the celebs are, former Vandy basketball players, which I laugh about because Mike Rhodes told me one time. Mike Rhodes, one of the all-time great scorers in Vandy history, when I was in school there, and he calls me the day after the first one. He said, "Those people had no clue who I am." So this one's near and dear to me, and this hurts to watch this. I mean, in my wildest dreams, I never thought Memorial Gym would get to this. I am not willing to accept that this is okay. I'm not willing to accept that this is the way it ought to be. Football's got some limitations. I'm not buying that the limitations in basketball are anything close to that. They're just not.
Yeah, and I'll say what I've been saying.
End of the sermon.
It's not a matter of if,
for now,
but when.
Guess who's coming up? Go ahead.
Hey, do y'all really think that it's going to happen, though? Do you really think that it's going to happen, George?
A coaching change?
Yeah.
I think it should.
Well, yeah, we all think it
yeah.
should.
Is it going to? I don't know. I really don't.
No.
I don't know what to tell you.
It's kind of sad,
if I was
man.
going
I
to put
agree.
odds on it,
Yeah.
right now I'd say 50-50.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm
it's
being
so it's
honest.
not even it's not higher than that. It's not like a 70-30 deal. You think it's 50-50. Wow.
Because here's the thing. We don't know. We have no clue where Deermeyer is, the chancellor, because ultimately he can have the final say.
Yeah.
He's the guy that runs the school. Anyway, I know we got to go to the break. I see Terry McCormick in the on deck circle. We're going to talk Titans. We're going to talk NFL Combine. Pitchers and catchers have reported. Terry is ready and raring to go. Hope you are as well.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Well, as a lot of you know, the Combine is next week up in Indy. I've never been to the combine. Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, has, and he joins us. Pitchers and catchers have reported. Thank God. What's the combine like for a media person?
Well, you basically spend a lot of your time sitting in a room where reporters from every team and national people are all in there as well. And then they've changed it over the last few years. Whenever there is coach availability or general manager availability or prospect availability, they're all brought into this one room, this area that is in the convention center there in Indianapolis. And, everybody just kind of interviews them. And then generally, if you're one of the local beat writers, like when Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon finish with their round of answering questions, some from us, some from national media, some from outlets in other cities and things like that, then we generally go off and have a little side session where you can ask questions that are more localized, more pertinent to what's going on with the team and things like that. And then a lot of the time at night is spent, I guess the term is hobnobbing, where, you go out and, you sit down, you go out to eat or whatnot, and you may run into this guy or that guy with this team or that team. And then that's where a lot of the scuttlebutt starts getting discussed.
Terry.
Big week for St. Elmo's.
Buzolas.
Yes, apparently. Yes.
Let's check in with Kelly on that. Kelly, exactly what do they do at the combine?
Drink beer. That's about it. I mean, they all get to see their buddies. And the good thing about the combine is all the guys are there. But nowadays, you got guys that are not going to participate in the combine. I can remember when I went and did it. There were a few guys that just ran. That's all they did. They didn't do any of the drills or anything. I was one of those guys that's from a smaller school, so they asked me to come in and throw for all the, normally the quarterback comes in, they have their workout and they throw with the receivers. I threw with the receivers. I stayed for the running backs. I stayed for the tight end. So I kind of stayed the whole day, the whole time, just to get some exposure for me. They thought that was going to be the best thing for me, my agent. And he got me hooked up with that. Now, by the end of the week, my arm was falling off. I had thrown so many passes, but I don't know. It's I just think it's a opportunity for the buddies that used to coach together that's no longer coaching together to go to St. Elmo's and spend the night there and drink it up. That's my opinion.
Buzolas.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not wrong in his assessment, George.
No, I know he's not. No, absolutely he's not. They're a lot like media people. If they can charge it to somebody else's dime, it's a free.
In, baby.
So, Rand Carthon, recently Gentry Estes from the Tennessean ripped into him pretty good for what I've called the witness protection program. What do you think is his strategy for simply being nowhere to be found?
Don't know. I mean, it's a good question and a fair question. I think, the combine is one of the few opportunities where we'll actually be able to, grill him on some questions and kind of pick his brain as far as, what his ideas are for rebuilding this team. And, I guess we were spoiled here, George, early on when we had Floyd Reese as the general manager, because he was simply a phone call away. You could call the office or call his cell phone and he would answer about 90% of the time. And, that has become increasingly rare in these days that, the reporters' times with the general manager now are few and far between, at least here in Nashville.
Floyd was a talk show waiting for a signal.
Yes,
I used to tell him that. So, okay, let me start with the Derrick Henry question. Because on the surface, it sure seems like he's headed out of here. At the end of the season, he sort of gave us the, hey, feels like goodbye. Then Brian Callahan sort of gave a little bit of a door is open. I personally think it's done. Who did it? Did Carthon say, we're not going to have you back? Did Henry go to him and say, tell me what you're thinking? How do you think this has come to wherever we are?
I just think it was this. I think, Derrick Henry, despite his productivity, is a 30-year-old running back. The team's philosophy is changing, doing a 180 from being a ground and pound run team that runs through Derrick Henry to being more of a passing, modern style offense that's going to run through Will Levis. Derrick Henry certainly can be a productive player in this league still. I have no doubts about that he's got at least two to three good years left in him. And I think it was just kind of a, when you laid all the facts out there, I don't know that any one person, be that Rand Carthon or Derrick Henry or Derrick Henry's representation or Rand Carthon, Brian Callahan, I don't know if any one person made that decision. I just think that it was one of those things where it was clear that this was the breaking point. It was clear that this was where the Titans were going one way and Derrick Henry was going another, because philosophy was changing. Derrick Henry is at a point in his career where he probably doesn't want to go through a rebuild, and the Titans are in a situation where they can't promise Derrick Henry that he's going to get 250 to 300 touches a year like he used to.
Baltimore, Buffalo, Dallas. Is it one of the three?
Those would seem to be the favorites. You may be able to throw Philly in there as well. But I would think that a team that is a Super Bowl contender would be where Derrick would probably want to hitch his wagon for the coming year. I don't think he wants to go and toil for the Arizona Cardinals and win 6 games. I think, he could have that here. I think he wants to go somewhere where there's an opportunity to play for it deep in the playoffs and maybe get to a Super Bowl.
God bless the Arizona Cardinals. Terry, one last thing on my end. You've had enough time now to kind of examine, the lay of the land of this draft. Is there anybody out there with that first pick that you think stops the Titans from taking an offensive lineman?
It's a good question. I think they'll consider a skill position player. When you look at what the Bengals did when Brian Callahan was there, and they desperately needed offensive line help, but they passed over a top offensive lineman to draft Jamar Chase. If there's a special situation like that, and I don't think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be there at number 7, if he were there, I think they would have to jump on it. I think Malik Neighbors from LSU is also somebody that they would have to strongly consider with that pick, depending on what they can do in free agency at the receiver position, of course. And then I think a wild card in this, George, might be, and it's a little high for a tight end to go, but a guy like Brock Bowers would be a nice weapon for this team to add if they could, and be a nice safety net for Will Levis and give them, a guy who can create matchup problems, which is in Brian Callahan's offenses, which is what you're looking for. You want to create matchup problems all over the field at receiver, tight end, and running back. And certainly that would be an upgrade at that spot.
Kelly, help me, because Terry basically took it right out of my hands. I was about to head to the double B or B squared, Brock Bowers. We've all seen him play. We're all intrigued by him. He's felt like a pro on the college level for a good while. If you're making the decision, can you justify him at number 7?
Oh, man. I'm thinking I was going to ask Terry this. I mean, this it seems like this draft is loaded with tackles, and they have to have a tackle. But yeah, I think if Brock Bowers comes up at 7, I think you've got to take a real hard look at that, because he's a weapon. You've got to have weapons on offense. And he is a weapon at tight end. Now, you normally don't see tight ends like that, but like this guy, like you said, George, when he came to Georgia, I mean, we've all said when he was even a freshman, man, this is the best tight end in the country by far as a freshman. So he's one of those guys. It's kind of a generational guy too. And I think if he comes up at number 7, I think Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan have to really take a look at that and say, hey, man, there's some guys that we like on down the line. We know we have to have a tackle. And this because they're talking about all these guys being at tackle, being in the first round. So if they do that and they waste that first round pick, then they might have to do something finagling, trading down and getting something back up into the first round where they can go after one of those tackles. But I think if you are in that room and he does come up, I think he's certainly going to be talked about.
Okay, let me get both of y'all in on this.
Okay.
Terry,
I've got a question I want to ask for Kelly as well.
Okay.
When you get done, George.
Go ahead.
Okay, Kelly, I mean, you know more about this than I do because you've been in meetings and been in games and things like that.
Yeah.
It seems to me that when you're choosing, and like you said, a weapon, that when you're scheming and you're putting together an offensive game plan, it seems to me that it's easier to scheme up protection to mask that weakness than it is to scheme up something to get a receiver open who's not necessarily fast enough or shifty enough to do it on his own. Am I correct?
That is totally correct. Yeah, it's easy. It's much easier to get blocked up than it is for a guy to. Well, there was a guy that I played with, not going to say his name, but he had unbelievable hands. But if you got up in his face, he struggled. He wasn't very fast, but he struggled. But if you had the ball anywhere around him, he could catch. But yeah, it's so much harder to scheme up things, getting them open. Now, if you got a good coordinator and you know that, like he's going to bring guys in motion, he's going to get in bunch sets where they don't get up on guys like that. But I just think with Brock Bowers, I've always loved tight ends. You look at the New England Patriots when they had Gronkowski. I mean, he's a matchup nightmare. I mean, if you put him in there, he can block. If you spread him out, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to take a linebacker out there? You're going to take a DB out there. If you're going to take a DB out there, we're going to run the football. If you put a linebacker out there, I'm going to throw and I'm going to match him up against that linebacker. So it's such a weapon as a tight end. I always loved tight ends. When I was in Bruce, we had him. When I was with Bruce, we had him yesterday on. He loved tight ends, and that when I coached at Riverdale, I mean, we had tight ends. Man, I love tight ends. I think they help the running game. I think you saw that in the Kansas City Chiefs game. They had been doing that all year with 2 tight ends. And then at the beginning of the game, they used to use 1 tight end. And then the second half, they went in and say, hey, we've been doing this all year. Let's go back to that. I think they just present matchup problems for you. I'm like Terry. If Marvin Harrison Jr. is there, you got to take him. And if Brock Bowers is there, that's one you have to think about. I don't know if you'll take him, but you have to discuss him because you got so many needs. But I think Brock Bowers is one of those guys that can be there for a long time, just like Rob Gronkowski was there for a long time for Tom Brady.
So hold on. Let me see if I got this right. Harrison is more of a no-brainer to take than Bowers.
To me, yes. Yes. But I think it's a no-brainer to take Brock Bowers too, but I'm not in those meetings. You see what I'm saying? We know that they have to have a receiver. They've got to have a receiver to help DeAndre Hopkins because they have nobody. I mean, Traylon Burks hadn't done it. The Moore kid, he flashed some signs, but I just think that if Marvin Harrison Jr. is there, yes, that's a no-brainer. If Brock Bowers is, to me, it's a no-brainer, but I don't think that they probably think that way. He's a tight end. Could we wait a little bit more and maybe slide down a little bit after that and come back? I don't know. I don't know how all that goes, but I think he's one of those guys that is definitely a weapon for the offense. He's like a wide receiver too, and I think he could certainly be here for a long time and be very productive if they did end up taking him.
Okay, Kelly, you may have some stuff for Terry. Floor is yours.
Well, the tackles. This draft is loaded with tackles. At 7, like if Marvin Harrison's gone for sure, and they're not going to go after Brock Bowers, who do you go after? I mean, is it Joe Alt? Is it the kid from Penn State? I mean, I don't think you can have a problem with either one of those guys. Which ones do you think they're going with, Terry?
I think those 2 are definitely the top. They're consensus pretty much that they're the top 2 guys. Preference, I think, if you go game ready right now, you're probably going with Alt from Notre Dame. I think most people consider him to be the guy who is a blue chipper who you can put in right there, right now at left tackle, first week of the season, he's ready to go and you're good there. Fashanu sounds like, he's maybe would be ready to play by the first week, probably for this team, certainly would have to do that. Probably has more upside, maybe even a little more athleticism than Alt does, but I don't think you can go wrong either way with one of those guys.
Now, after that, if they don't do anything with that, I think they got the 38th pick after that?
38th pick.
Where do they go from there? Do they go for wide receiver?
Possibly, yeah. If they go tackle first round, then I think they have to either go wide receiver or cornerback. And here's the other thing, too. I wouldn't necessarily rule out, they don't have a third round pick. I wouldn't necessarily rule out them trading down either in round 1 or round 2, maybe 10 spots or so, and then picking up that third round pick if they can, because that's a good player generally in that range where you can get somebody around number 90 or number 100. That's a guy who should be able to come in and fill a need for you, pretty early in terms of play time. So with as many needs as this team has, I certainly would not fault them if they traded back out of 38 and moved back, say, to 48 and recouped a third round pick.
That's pretty good. So you're saying the 38th pick, not the 7th pick. I was thinking you was thinking the 7th pick. Yeah.
Well, if you can trade the 7th pick and get a haul, because there are guys there, if both the tackles are gone and you don't necessarily like what's there facing you in terms of number 7, if Alt and Fashanu come off the board early, and if there's not a run on quarterbacks that allow one of those guys to fall to you, then I could see you trading out of 7 and going maybe back to 13 or 14 and still picking up a tackle or a receiver and then recouping some of what you've given away in past years in the draft.
Sorry, are you hearing anything about free agency? What are you hearing anybody that they're thinking about or somebody that's interested at this point?
Well, it's still a little early for that. You'll start to hear rumors and things flying around next week up at the combine. I think one of the things that has been put out there is T. Higgins. It's the Bengals. Everybody's saying they're probably going to put the franchise tag on him. Colts may put the franchise tag on Michael Pittman. A couple of other names out there: Calvin Ridley, Mike Evans of Tampa Bay. Don't know, how much the Bucs are going to try and keep Evans. I would think that he would be a priority along with Baker Mayfield to try to keep that passing attack in place for several more years. But if Evans were to make it to the free agent market, or Pittman, Higgins, any of those guys like that, I would think that the Titans would have to be aggressively pursuing somebody like that.
Yeah, I saw where they just hired 3 more assistants. Has he finished out his coaching staff, or has he still got some more hires to make?
I think there's a few low-level spots, the assistant to the assistant, whatever, those types of things, the quality controls. There's probably still some of that. Still got to hire a strength and conditioning coach. But by and large, the staff is pretty much together. Now, I think, I guess you can have the trainers and all handle the medicals at the combine. But I like having the strength and condition coach in on that those conversations as well. What about you?
No, I'm with you, man. I've always said, like, one of the major hires is a strength coach, because he's around those guys. Those guys, they'll go into his office and they'll gripe sometimes, or they'll need some encouragement. Like, a strength coach is a huge position for a football team, and it's amazing to me that he hadn't hired one yet. I'm not quite sure. That's one of the key hires of an organization, that he has not been able to do that. One of my favorite guys was my strength coach in Cleveland, man. When he first came in, he had us do these squat thrust things, and like, he was trying to figure out if we were in shape. And I couldn't stand that guy. And that's what I told my son. My son called me, when this new coaching staff came in. He's like, "Dad, this strength coach, man, I don't know." And I'm like, they got to be douchebags for about a week or two. And then after that, they'll calm down, because that's what I mean, that's how the best strength coach I ever had was like that. And I couldn't begin with. And then everything he did, man, I loved him. I still talk to him today. So that's just a key position. I still can't believe you hadn't filled that, Terry.
Okay, Kelly, hold on a second. When you first started the discussion about special teams coaches, both Terry and I kind of had a little smirk. Did you notice that?
I did not. No.
Okay,
I didn't think I said
guarantee
anything about special teams coaches.
No, I mean,
strength coaches.
Strength coach. Okay.
Yeah.
When you brought that up, both Terry and I had kind of a little bit of a smirk or kind of a small smile. And I can tell you without even knowing what Terry was thinking, because it was the same thing I was thinking. Our admiration, our enjoyment of Steve Watterson and his humor.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember they should give him a call, tell him to come back.
Watterson should write a book about his dealings, especially monetarily, with Bud. It's priceless. It is absolute. First of all, Terry, would I be right? The players loved him.
Oh, no doubt about it.
He told a story to my downtown Kiwanis club recently where I think it was Cortland Finnegan had pulled some sort of a stunt on Finnegan. Finnegan decided to get even and trash his office. And so Watterson knew it and hired some group, a company or a group, to come in and clean it up before Cortland got there the next day. And he had this club in stitches going through this. And I've always thought, man, this guy, this was the Spalding guide of what you want out of a strength coach.
I mean, that's correct. I mean, they're the guy that kind of keeps that thing on the road sometimes. I mean, you can go in there and vent your frustrations to those guys. Like I said, they're just so important to an organization, and I'm just kind of shocked that he hadn't got one yet. Maybe I know it's coming. It's obviously going to come, but it's such an important position. Like the O-line coach and the strength coach are two very important positions on the coaching staff.
So, Steve Watterson, if by some chance you're watching this, Terry and I salute you. He was the best. The stunts he pulled and the stuff that players tried to pull on him.
Oh,
man. Oh, my God.
The practical jokes and things like that were
but you know what? In that day and time when they really were doing well, and the general public probably didn't know him as well, but I'm telling you, a lot of their success in that era was his ability to keep it loosey-goosey with Jeff Fisher's approval and egging on at times.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Okay. Terry, you're a good man. Pitchers and catchers have reported.
That's good, George.
See you, brother. See you.
Go Yanks.
No, absolutely not. We'll go to the break on that. That was disgusting. After the break, we'll talk a little more NFL football. Then Coach Ron Bargatze will join us, and we will ask the question, is the Kentucky fan really okay with losing at LSU? You know the answer, and so do I. Stay tuned.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Trax machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
The folks at Cool Springs MD will be holding an open house Thursday, February the 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. They'll be unveiling the new Empower laser, which is incredible. It will turn back the clock on your body, and it's the only laser indicated for mixed urinary stress incontinence. Turn back the clock and take control of your body with the new Empower laser. They'll unveil it at Cool Springs MD. Hope to see you Thursday night, February the 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Okay, I need y'all's help on this. The actual number that the Titans have to spend in free agency, did I hear right? Is it where did I get 68 million?
It's a bunch. I don't know what it is. Yeah, but it's a bunch.
Okay. With that, if you basically say as a GM, okay.
Yeah, 65 million in cap space.
Okay. 65 million. So can you completely fix your offensive line in free agency?
You can do a lot of damage, George. I think so. Yeah. I mean, you got to get guys interested to come here, and with a new coaching staff and a new offensive philosophy, I think that's very. I don't think it's easy, but I think that's very doable. I mean, I think in today's football, you've seen it. I mean, we've all talked about it on this show, where if you get some cap space and you get the right people in, and the timing is right, you can flip this thing pretty quick. I mean, you look at what the St. Louis Rams did a long time ago when they were terrible with Dick Vermeil, and then all of a sudden, you know, they get Trent Green, he goes down, and then it becomes the greatest show on turf with Kurt Warner. They turn that thing around pretty quick.
The thing about the Titans right now is obviously they need good players. Everybody wants good.
Thank you, Billy.
Everybody wants good players, but
Captain Obvious.
Yes, the Captain Obvious Award.
T. Higgins, for example, is also wanted by the Bengals for at least, I think, another year, you know, is what at least is out there. I mean, they're not just going to give him up. So Rand Carthon has a really tough job. He's going to have to be really smart about who do they go after, how much do you pay them, because you got to pay up for these guys, but you don't want to overpay, right? I mean, I remember listening to 102.5, Floyd Reese used to always talk about that. You can't just pay these. If you see a good player that you think can help your team, you can't just offer him bukus of money, you know, because, I mean, you know, for a great player, yeah. But, I mean, the Titans, with the amount of needs they have, I don't know that they can go out and be the New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers or, you know, Sauce Gardner, the amount of money they paid him. They got to be smart about their money.
Okay, here's where I'm going. You're like, okay, land the plane. So the New England, you brought him up with Gronk and the late Aaron Hernandez. That was a 1-2 punch at tight end that was incredible. In Kansas City, it's been Kelsey and Noah Gray, who is more of the 4-yard square out guy. You can find Noah Gray anywhere. But what you have here right now is a Chiga Okonkwo, who I thought was better 2 years ago than he was last season. I would describe him as serviceable. I'll admit, Brock Bowers is really an intriguing deal to me.
He is.
Because can you almost say our first wide receiver addition is Brock Bowers? Is he a tight end who basically is a wide receiver?
I don't think he's basically a wide receiver, but he can play. He can split out, and he runs really fluid. He's obviously bigger than a wide receiver. I mean, he can block as well. So that is an intriguing proposition that you brought up, because if it's me, I always loved tight ends, George. I was a huge tight end guy, always have been. And you just brought up the duo of Gronk and Aaron Hernandez. And I remember when they came down here. You remember when they played down here in Nashville, and they played against the Titans, and they tore the Titans up, those two guys themselves. And I just think tight ends are matchup nightmares if you got a good one. And I think if you got Brock Bowers there, I think that's something that you have to really look at. Now, people, it's not as bad as running backs have gotten, believe me, but people don't like wasting that type of a draft pick up that early in the draft on a tight end. It's just the way it's become.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going after a quarterback, you're going after an offensive lineman or a really good defensive tackle or a wide receiver. That's where it's boiled down to. Now you can get all the other ones on other places, but those are the four positions that you're going to take in the top of the first round. That's just it.
Do y'all believe that for the most part, defensively, they've just, with all the other needs, they're just going to have to hang defensively with what they've got?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I think they got the Jeffrey Simmons kid. He's a good player. I think they got a really good defensive line. I mean, if they can keep those guys, they were able to get some pressure until their give a crap meter kind of went awry, for a little bit, and then at the last game they turned it on again. But they've got to get. I think one of their linebackers is up for free agency too. Am I right? The Al Shazier kid, and he's up too. Plus they've got to be able to. They've got to do what Kansas City did. Kansas City couldn't cover anybody years ago, and now they're really good in the secondary. So they've got to get some guys in the secondary. But you may be right. I mean, they're so they've got so many voids that they have to fill, that they might have to put defense on the back burner. They did last year in the draft. They drafted every offensive player from the draft. So I don't think it'll be that way this year, but there still could be a struggle next year.
So with this $65 million,
yeah,
Kelly, in your mind, when you say, okay, he's got $65 million, allot it for me, and I realize this is an absurd question.
That is absurd.
Is it $20 million for two offensive linemen? Is it? I mean, give me some numbers there of how you because by the time they get to it, that seems like what they're going to have to do.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I wish you would have called me earlier in the day, and I could have really thought this out, George. That's kind of hard for a fella from Fayetteville, my man. If you draft a left tackle at number 7, there's a deal called slotting. You're not going to get paid more than the guy before you, and you're not going to get paid less than the guy after you. So they've got to slot that. So when you get a rookie contract, you're going to get some money up front. But when you go out after free agency guys, man, that are trying to make a bang, you're going to have to pay them. And yeah, I mean, I think that some guys could be in the $10 million range. Absolutely. I mean, you could pay them that. You could give them money up front, and you could get you a good, solid offensive line. But $65 million is a lot of money to spend. But they've got to do their due diligence in getting guys and getting their track record and make sure that they're not like that. That was a problem that I had with, it seemed like the Vrabel era. They haven't hit on a lot of these draft picks, George. I mean, you look at other teams and they're really good in the draft.
Yeah.
But they have not hit on their draft pick. So if you can do that and you can get a solid foundation, maybe that's what Rand Carthon can do this year. Maybe we'll see. It's going to be a second draft, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. But I think with the cap space that they got, I think they could turn this thing around and they could get a very viable and a very good offensive line to help Will Levis, and then just get him a weapon or two, maybe through the draft or maybe through free agency.
Brian Callahan, the new Titans head coach, will join us on the show probably next Wednesday. Looking forward to that.
Nice.
After the break, we'll go stat of the day, which could be an embarrassment. Good. Thank God for Kelly yesterday, our new baseball expert. And then Coach Ron Bargatze will join us. We'll go State of the Union
Coach B
of Blue Mist. I'll guarantee you there's some pissed off Blue Misters today who were celebrating last Saturday, and last night we're going, come on. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Coach B coming up, but first, stat of the day brought to you by John English Antiques Sports and Cards. You can find them out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call. That's 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what we got today. It looks like we're going hockey. Austin Matthews of Toronto currently has 51 goals in 54 games this season. He currently has the highest goals per game in a season since what player in 1996?
Good luck, Kelly. We're all counting on you.
Come on, Kel.
Is this a very notable guy there, Billy?
It's got to be.
Yes.
Mario Lemieux?
What the heck? Let's go with him.
Boom.
2 in a row.
2 in a row for Kel.
You are on a roll.
I did not think you would have guessed Lemieux. I thought you would have gone maybe Crosby.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Lemieux in
get
the 80s
some,
and
get
the
some,
90s.
Billy. Get some. Tell Matthew to get some too, sucker.
Have you been texting Matthew? Have you been paying him to give you the answers or something?
I have not.
Kelly's pumped. I love it. Well, so much for stat of the day. Let us say hello to the one and only Coach Ron Bargatze. Hello, Coach B.
How are you?
Good.
Billy,
You're
get
kind
on
of off
tell him to get in the middle. Yeah, tell him
let's
to get
you
in the middle of the screen,
there.
Billy.
There you go.
Okay.
He's
We're good. So, Coach B, I gather you saw the end of the Kentucky LSU game, the tip in at the buzzer.
That just shows what can happen, if you put the puck on the net.
Mario Lemieux.
Yeah. No, Howard Wright made a nice play, got his shot blocked and right back to him, and he had an excellent assist for the winning basket.
So this comes on the heels of Kentucky's finest moment of the year, where they went to Auburn and absolutely stunned Auburn. And the stun was that Auburn never even really made a run in the second half. And Kentucky played great, and we all said, now that is a Final Four contender. There aren't 10 teams in America who could go to Auburn and win. Not that LSU's bad, but they're lower half of the SEC, which has got to have the Commonwealth in an absolute tizzy.
Well, it changes the dynamic that we're used to, and you figure if Kentucky gets any lower than third or fourth place at the highest, that things are bad, and they just make bad turnovers. Defensively, they give up a lot of penetration to the basket, where the other team has numbers, and that got them beaten in the game last night.
He's had varying degrees of success over the years with this whole one and done concept. He got one that won him a national title that I believe, just talent wise, was so much better than the field that they won. The rest of them, some have been really good, some have been murky. What do you really think this group is?
Well, it's three excellent perimeter players. Shepard and Reeves and Dillingham are about as good as you're going to find anywhere as perimeter players, but they don't really get a lot into paint unless a game changes differently than we've seen, certainly for the past 6 weeks.
So all of this leads me to kind of the state of the union at Kentucky. You've got Calipari, who has, and for a long time this has gone on, had no relationship with Mitch Barnhart. They don't speak, which I've always wondered how in the world you make that work, but that's been the case there. You've got a fan base that just seems to have grown really tired of him. On his end, he's making a boatload of money, but he's bound to be tired of the constant harping. And yet I don't really ever see it shown by him.
No, he's the Teflon Don sort of a guy. He looks the part. He's had success. Certainly had good players come through there, but these players are just not the right combination together. They're dangerous, as we saw when they played at Auburn. They're really dangerous. But, man, they were exposed last night because Howard Wright went to the basket, at will against them, and that gave LSU the numbers inside. And so Coach Mack got them going down there.
It's a good win for them. When you say they don't have the right combination, I think that's what you said.
Yeah.
Where is it not the right stuff? Where is it round peg and square hole? Obviously, they don't play good enough defense throughout some of the season, although they did against Auburn. Man, they were really good. What is the not quite right about this group?
Well, those three players we mentioned, Reeves obviously is a great scorer, and you got Dillingham, who can certainly put up points. Shepard can put up points, but they seem to cohesively, they're a little lacking, I think, because the timing of what they do right kind of goes in spurts, and they have all those bad things that happen to them occasionally. Or as one local wag once said, the Braves are going to be good if they can get some good hitting and timely pitching.
Right.
Or vice versa.
And that was not me, was it?
No.
No, it wasn't. Okay, we're going to show you the 7 teams in the SEC that inside the conference have winning records, and kind of give me some thoughts on where you think all this is right now.
Well, I think having winning conference record is pretty awesome for a program in the league, because South Carolina came out of nowhere, kind of a lower division team, and Lamont Paris put together really nice chemistry among his players. They're very physically strong, and so they are the overachievers in the conference. I think Tennessee, being as good as they've been, Alabama and South Carolina, Auburn, I think those 4, I think there's a pretty good follow. I like Florida's team. They've come on good. Todd Goland's done a wonderful job of getting some players from outside in there. Kentucky, I think, and then when they're 8-5, that's a disappointment for the Bluegrass folks. And Mississippi State, has a nice team. Ole Miss and Mississippi State are pretty close, and so you could almost a late finish by Ole Miss here could really serve them well.
Coach B, I've been throwing this out here. I believe one of Ole Miss, Mississippi State, or A&M will end up in Dayton.
Could be. I think that's not a bad prediction. Of course, I think that being in Dayton would be a great goal for some of these middle teams in the league.
I think those 3, there's a collision course to it. Now, let's get to last night here. I want you to hear what Jerry Stackhouse put out there after the game.
About my job is that, whatever I got hired here to do a job, and I've been trending in the right direction for a long time. I probably heard more things about net this year than I've ever heard about our net. The last 4 years before that, when we increased our net every year, I hadn't heard anything about that. So we've been doing a lot of good things, trying to trend in the right direction, and I know it's a lot of noise out there, a lot of things, but one thing I can say, no weapons formed against me shall prosper. You know what I'm saying? Because I got faith with the man upstairs that he put me in this position for a reason, and everything that I'm going through right now, with this team and off the court, it's ordained, and it's stuff that's gonna make me better, and I really feel about that. I hate that some of the narrative that keeps coming back, deals with a tweet or something from 21. I mean, if I could take it back, I wish I would. But at that point in time, that's how I felt, and that's how I addressed it. But at the same time, there was 12 disciples, right? And there's only one of them was a Judas. There's a lot of people pulling for me, and there's a lot of people pulling for our team. And I just try to think about those people and make sure that I continue to do my job and focus on these guys and helping them get better, and then I'll live with the result from there.
Billy, I want to come to you first. I don't pretend to know what the tweet is about, and my guess is you might.
Yeah, he put a tweet out back, like you said, back in 2021. It was in regards to Vanderbilt fans that might have been Trump supporters. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I think that kind of there's fans that feel like that sort of started the process of alienating some of the fan base.
Okay, got you.
Yeah,
Coach B, the whole I've been trending in the right direction for a long time. I mean, he took over a program that had gone 0-18 in the SEC, 0-19 if you include the tournament loss that year, that got Bryce Drew fired. There was nowhere to go but at least some level of up.
Yeah, I don't know what Jerry meant by trending. You you are what your record says you are. Isn't that what Bill Parcells said?
Yes.
And I think 2-11 in the conference is not trending correctly. I think the general feeling around the program is as low as I've ever seen it in terms of excitement, and I know there's a lot of people. If they could just show us something to grab hold of, if they were 6-7 right now, that would be something. That would be a slight trend in the right direction. Last year's team was pretty good. They finished strong. There was a little excitement going on, but we all knew throughout the summer, we were wondering where those replacements were going to come from, because a guy like Robbins, he could play on a lot of winning teams. He's an excellent player, but then you have the defections of some guys, Studi and Wright, and there's some pretty good players out there that are not around that could have made this team probably an upper half of the conference team. So you worry about why they left. Was it an NIL situation? Was it some discourse, in the program? But a couple of those guys with the right attitude and the right, physically speaking, they could be a lot better. But still, they would still be very, very weak. And the Malore Brown would be a good guy to have on this team right now. With the guard play like it is, and the hustling, hardworking inside play of Malore Brown, that would be an asset to this team. So they were here and they're not here now. That's not good. And is Vanderbilt behind in the NIL arms race? Does that cause them to leave, or were there other reasons? I don't know, George.
So what's been going on this week. There has been a water cooler talk and a rumor mill, the likes of which I have never seen in all the years I've been a broadcaster. And I've come to believe that a lot of it was based on what went on in Knoxville Saturday, where Vandy got just absolutely annihilated. Tennessee played great, and the score got really out of hand at one point, 82-40. He looked, for people who watched it, very disinterested. Tennessee had two what I would call biblical runs. Good Lord. And he never stopped either one of them. And it led a lot of people, and I'll admit I'm one of them, who said, he didn't look very interested. And a lot of people interpreted that as believing that he knew something at the time, that he knew they're trying to buy him out or whatever the case may be. I don't think that's the case. I don't have any proof one way or the other. But it seems to me that right now, instead of this giant boulder, he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder. He's got a boulder on it. That what he really needs to do is walk in last night when he gets asked about his job future and say, look, we can all see that this team isn't anywhere close to good enough. I'm the head coach. It's my responsibility. I take the responsibility. But if I am given the chance to come back, what I promise this fan base is I will work my fanny off to create a roster that you'll be proud of. If he could go a little more in that direction instead of this I've been trending up BS, he might win a few people over.
Well, I think the whole situation, and I've mentioned that on this show multiple times over the years, you better recruit. If you don't recruit or maintain, in some cases, you're going to have these kind of seasons. And recruiting, they have a lot of fairly nondescript players playing, but the bottom line is who's going to line up in the paint. Lubin has done he's shown signs there of having some ability in there, but he likes to shoot threes. But he also, if they had a presence in the paint where they could go inside out, those 3-point baskets would come a lot more easily to them, because it's a lot easier to shoot the ball when from the perimeter when it comes from the post out to you than it is to get it from the side, because there requires a little physical adjustment to get ready to shoot if it's coming from the side to side. So I think inside out offense would really be good to them if they could get some of that going.
So, Coach B, we've got about 3 weeks left of this. And when they really were not very competitive against Georgia, you sort of look at what's remaining on their schedule and say, okay, 1 or under is what they're going to get. In the attempt to figure out where this is going, I give him about as low a marks as possible on retaining players, on recruiting players, on getting a fan base excited. I mean, those, I couldn't give him lower marks. How do you make a case for him?
Well, I think Jerry, if he has someone he listens to, I don't know of anyone that he goes to for advice, but I would say that how he comes across publicly has a lot to do with his lack of popularity. So I think there's a lot of not much energy spent on knowing how to please the fan base. You can have some success and they're mad at you, or you can have about the same amount of success and they can pull for you. And I just don't. My water cooler talk is I get asked a lot because of my longtime affiliation with Vanderbilt, and I don't hear much positives going on out there.
Going to be an interesting, I don't know, what, 3.5 weeks left between regular season and tournament week. Billy, go ahead, and then we'll head to the break and let Kelly.
Yeah, Coach, we got a comment from somebody asking about Bucky McMillan at Samford, and this commenter compared him to Roy Skinner in the mid-1960s with his coaching style and calm demeanor. Would you agree with that? And Bucky, obviously has done a heck of a job. They had a good win, was it a couple nights ago at home, I think. So do you know much about Bucky McMillan, and what do you think about that Roy Skinner comparison?
That's a great question.
Well, it got him all choked up. I mean, very emotional.
I tell you, Roy Skinner's looking good right now. I don't know. I think that excuse me.
More choked up than we ever dreamed.
Wrong question.
Man, no, they've done a great job at Samford, so don't complain. Sorry.
Hold on.
We'll go to the break.
We'll take him off camera. Let's go to the break, and then we'll get him to answer that, and then Kelly will get with him. Stay tuned. Back with more on the Coughing Radio Network.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
When last we spoke to Ron Bargatze, he appeared to be dying, but has made a miracle comeback. Coach B, it sounds like whatever ailed you is over.
Well, a little water makes a lot of difference, so I'm back in business now.
Okay, Bucky McMillan.
Really, really good basketball coach. He's in his fourth year at Samford, and I remember his first team, seeing them play in Birmingham against Belmont, and then he was reloading during that year, and he's done a phenomenal job of bringing talent in, coaches the heck out of them. I'm telling you, and I don't think he's quite as Coach Skinner was a little more calm than Bucky. Can get kind of excited, but he's a very, very good basketball coach, highly respected.
I'm rooting for them to get in the tournament. They're going to obviously have to win their postseason in their conference, but they've got a real shot to do that. Kelly, say hello to Coach B.
She's kind of worrying me, man. You had a big hairball, didn't you, big dog?
Hey, Kelly, I had lunch with a guy named Louis Thompson week before last, and I didn't get to share some of the things he told me about you at that luncheon because you were out last week.
Absolutely, we have the time. I'd like.
Hey, we have it now. Let's share it. Share it. Let's hear it.
Well, you know what? I'm afraid it might not make the cut as far as the FCC is concerned.
You can clean it up. You can clean it up.
He's never coached a guy with more confidence than Kelly Holcomb.
Oh, wow.
He said,
I love me some Coach Thompson.
Fourth and 3 on your own 10-yard line, down 6 points. Kelly knows he's going to get him in the end zone and win the game.
Coach Thompson, one time we were playing in Alabama, and we were playing the number 4 team in Alabama. It was I can't remember the name. It's right next to Montgomery. What is that? What's right next to Montgomery? Prattville. We were playing Prattville, and they were number 4 in the state down there, and I think we were number 1 or we were in the top 10 up here. And we went down there and played those guys. And every time we had the ball, we scored. There was one game that we never punted the ball. But on the last drive of the game, Coach Thompson, he called timeout, and he was all nervous. I patted Coach Thompson on the butt, and I said, Coach, I got it, man. Me and Chad will go win this game for us. He's like, well, you better. And then he said, go on and do it. And guess what? We did.
Yeah,
I love me some Coach Thompson, man. He's a good dude, man. He was when he came in to coach, being under Bear Bryant, man, he was a tough guy because we played under Coach Meadows. You remember John Meadows?
Sure.
Yeah, Coach Meadows was an unbelievable guy, but Coach Meadows was up in age and he wasn't really strict on the discipline part of it. And then when Coach Thompson came in, it was a rude awakening for us that had been in Coach Meadows' organization for a while. He demanded a lot of stuff from you.
Well, he's a classic, one of my favorites.
He is awesome. So the other night, we've talked about Vanderbilt, we've talked about Kentucky, so let's talk about UT a little bit. The other night was the awful game. I mean, it was not a good game against Missouri. I mean, it was terrible at the beginning of the game. But if they don't have Dalton Connect, I mean, he didn't play good in the first half, and in the second half, he kind of got heated up. I mean, that seems like one of those games a year ago or 2 years ago that if they didn't have a guy like Dalton Connect, they would not have won that game against Missouri. Like the Ziegler kid couldn't pull them through. The James kid couldn't pull them through. The Vescovi kid couldn't pull them through. How big has Dalton Connect been for this team just in a game like that?
Well, he gives the guys around him a lot of confidence. Tennessee was 0 for 9 in the first half from 3-point range. And, when you have that kind of half, you start, second guessing yourself, shot selection, situation, 0-11 team on the road. That is a tough opponent, and it can get to going bad and not ever recover from that. But that was a great second half for them to have and to come back and win the game, because you're going to have 2 or 3 of those per year. And the ones that can pull through and find a way to win sometimes can really achieve great things. So that was a very important win for them psychologically.
Do you think he is the hands-down MVP of the Southeastern Conference or some other guys? What are the guys you think could be in the running with him?
Oh, I don't know. I think he's the guy on the Kentucky. A lot of those teams can spread it around. And Tennessee is a better team when Connect gets probably 18 to 22 points, something like that, because then you got but James has got to give them a little bit of a scoring, but be more consistent scoring. They just, they had a lot of inside guys switching out, a lot of substitutions on their big three inside. So they just couldn't get the right jasm going in that first half, but they found a way to win. And I think you'll see a much better Tennessee team now since they came through there and got the win.
So, George put all those teams up that we think that's maybe make the NCAA tournament, maybe Ole Miss. I don't know. There's somebody going to have to go to Dayton. We talked about that. But who in that group is trending up, and who do you think is trending down?
Well, obviously South Carolina with a couple losses that came out of nowhere, about like a lot of their wins did early on, trending down slightly. I think Florida's trending up. I think they've established some really good mojo and really good feet. You can tell that team cares for each other. I love the way Todd Golden handles his players coming out of the game and being a good instructor for them. Kentucky, who knows? They can be really, really good, or they can be really, really bad, mostly through bad turnovers and a lack of inside punch. But I think Alabama, Tennessee are going to be the two, and possibly Auburn are going to be the top three picks. Even though South Carolina is trending down a little bit, they'll probably get it back and get it right. Great job by Lamont Parrish coaching that program.
I don't know how to go about this question here, but it was presented to us the other day. Everybody calls Rick Barnes, which I like. I've heard a lot of things about him. I think he's a great human being. I like him a lot, but they call him regular season Rick. And that's kind of It's not a good term for somebody in his position, but we were told that he thinks at the end of the year he burns the team out. And I don't know if that's a correct characterization, but can you do that as a coach, you think, at this time of year? Can you burn a team out?
Well, I think you see a guy like Tom Izzo, who coaches somewhat like Rick Barnes, and some coaches really get on their players, get on their bad side, or get on their case a little bit, and they get tired of hearing some of the negativity. But I think Rick can balance that out, and having a superstar type guy on their team, I think will give him a chance to advance more. If he doesn't advance in the tournament this year, then he's going to be plagued by that regular season Rick tag that they put on him. But I'm pulling for him because he's the kind of guy you want to win, and he's put together a really balanced roster now with good depth and some star power.
This is another odd question, but as a coach, and has it changed from now to back when you coach? But when you're like a Alabama or Tennessee or teams that they know they're going to the NCAA tournament, has the thinking changed with coaches now to, yeah, you want to win your tournament, you want to win the SEC tournament, that's nice, but you want to kind of keep the kids refreshed for the NCAA tournament? We're looking down the road for maybe a national championship. Is that like, I don't know, is that changed, or do people like, you want to do your best and you have to have a lot of luck at this time of year, but how do you balance that as a coach of saying, well, we know we're in the NCAA tournament right now, the Tennessee Vols are seated, like, Joe Lenardi talked about them seated in second and Alabama's third, but they know they're going to the NCAA tournament. Yeah, it's nice to win the SEC tournament, but our bigger picture is the NCAA tournament. How do you balance that?
But one of the things that helps you hedge against player burnout or the team not being balanced or having the right overall team attitude is having good depth and being able to use those people. Because Rick Barnes he'll jump down Connect's throat as quickly as he will any other player. So I think he treats them all with respect, but he does not stop coaching hard at any point. I think that he's got a team that can really advance. We've seen them against Missouri. We've seen them against Kentucky, and it looks like two different teams sometimes. So coaches are going to get called all sorts of things regardless. Always the target of a lot of the fans. So, yeah, I think that regular season Rick has a chance to maybe knock that tag off this year.
So this is my last question, Coach, but in your expert opinion, who is the best team in the nation right now? I know we stick to SEC a lot, but who do you think is the best team in the country?
If I had to go with one team, I'd go with UConn.
Okay.
I like
they had
team.
They had a bad loss the other night.
Yeah, Creighton beat them, but people don't realize how good a coach McDermott is, and how difficult it is to play a team like that on the road. So I wasn't shocked by the loss. I was shocked a little bit by the margin of loss, but that'll make them a better team, I think, by going through that.
Gotcha.
Coach B, you'll like this one to end it. You ready?
Yeah.
I got hit with this question recently. Growing up, what were the 4 most underrated gyms in the country?
And what do you mean by underrated?
Well, I mean, I guess that's up to anybody's interpretation. You want to know where I went?
Underrated and what? And just the facility itself, or
just tough places to play that people didn't. It's easy to say, well, Rupp Arena and Assembly Hall in Indiana, and but some underrated places.
Oh, I like Memorial Gym.
Okay, that was one of my 4.
Are you talking about in the league or around the country?
No, around the country.
Oh, man.
You want me to tell you where I went?
Yeah, I'll evaluate where you went if you give me a chance.
The Pit in Albuquerque.
Oh, it's a great. You come in at top level of that place, and it is literally a pit. And there's about 50 rows that go straight up all over the court. It's a balanced field house. Yeah,
the snake pit. They packed it last night.
Oh, it was great last night.
Yeah.
The place that Eddie Fogler built, Wichita State.
Oh man, well they were able to get really good players for several years at Wichita State, and Eddie was right in the middle of all that. So I agree with you. Their fans are wild and crazy.
I put a fourth one in there, but I don't know if it really was the case as I was growing up. Creighton.
Yeah, Creighton has always been kind of a dark horse place, and Coach McDermott is really good at what he does. He talking about a guy who coaches his players hard. He really, and when he had his son playing for him, he used him as an example. So if he lets his son get away with anything, the other guys want to also. So he went the extra mile to balance that out.
Okay, is there one more out there in the 70s and the 80s that you would throw into that?
Well, I've seen the Assembly Center be really tough.
You're talking about in Bloomington, Assembly Hall.
Yeah.
Which I have never gotten to go to. Man, I want to.
Well, the media there is at mid level.
Yeah.
But it's 360 degrees of people with red on and getting in your face. So it was tough. I think that I never thought about Alabama and Auburn being tough places to play, but they have become that.
Yeah.
Now. And so they're the new kids on the block in terms of atmosphere. And you know what? Bruce Pearl is going to make some atmosphere all by himself.
Mackey Arena at Purdue, too.
Yeah, really nice place to play. Man, when you got a 7'4" guy, it makes it a little bit easier. So I would probably put Purdue on my top 3 or 4 list in terms of what's going to happen in postseason.
Okay, leave me with Alligator Alley.
Oh, I can't even begin to tell you how tough that was because this is not the O'Connell Center.
No, which is a nice place with palm trees, and the other place, it wasn't that nice.
You know, the Alligator Alley was more like a glorified YMCA. People close to you. And back when you had 2-man officiating crews, Doug Bostic reached behind and knocked the ball loose that the officials didn't see, no replay. It cost us a big game down the stretch that year, and that would not happen in today's world.
Okay. Good stuff, Coach B.
Great being with you guys, and you too, Kelly.
See you, Coach. Appreciate you.
See you.
Okay, after the break, and our thanks to Ron Bargatze, after the break, plaster bet of the day. Has it taken on some water? It has.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever. Go to the commercial.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
The folks at Cool Springs MD will be holding an open house Thursday, February the 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. They'll be unveiling the new Empower laser, which is incredible. It will turn back the clock on your body, and it's the only laser indicated for mixed urinary stress incontinence. Turn back the clock and take control of your body with the new Empower laser. They'll unveil it at Cool Springs MD. Hope to see you Thursday night, February the 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Final segment on a Thursday. Preds are in LA tonight to play the Kings at 9:30. ESPN Plus. We got one ranked matchup in hoops. Washington State at Arizona at 10 o'clock. So some late night viewing. We'll see where George is going with Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give him a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. Let's see what happened last night. And, George, you've taken on some water.
Whoa! Oh, God.
An 0-3 evening.
0-3. That's just unacceptable, George. You're not making anybody any money. You're losing folk money right now. I hope you feel good about yourself.
I don't.
If you look at it, they were all pretty close. New Mexico ended up winning by like 4 instead of 6.5. Bama won by, 5 instead of 8.
Yeah.
Was it 5? Yeah.
Dayton lost to George Mason.
You might have should have found out a little bit more than George under the George deal. Like you said yesterday, they've got a great first name.
Right.
Yeah.
Need to find out more about Mason.
Need to find a little bit more out about him.
Yeah, you're probably right. So, okay, we've taken on water. We've got one of two choices. We can sink or we can fight. I choose to fight. Before you show where it is I'm going tonight, I want to ask a question. The Pac-12 conference recently got rid of George, what's the guy's name?
George Kliavkov.
Okay. Got a weird name.
That's right.
Okay. And they named a woman to be his replacement. How attractive can a commissioner job be when you have 2 teams? Not one, but 2.
That's what I was saying. That's like,
what
why?
the hell are you a commissioner of?
Why are you doing it? Like like the Pac-12 is gone.
It's dead.
It's basically like being commissioner of the underdog picks. It's useless.
And she's telling everybody right now that she's the Pac-12 commissioner. She's telling everybody right now.
Congratulations.
Let me ask you this. Did anybody else think of that when that announcement was made?
Well, technically, I mean, they still have however many, 12?
Yeah, for now, but how many more
for
months?
now. I mean, under the short-term future. when they
who
go to
cares?
two teams, I mean, she can go visit each one of them once a week.
That's true. I mean, she's not meeting with any of them right now. I don't about anything for the future.
I mean,
Good gracious.
which begs the question: do you need a commissioner?
No.
You got two teams. Dos.
I'm going back to what I said. Just promote the Mountain West commissioner. It's going to be the Mountain West anyway, with Oregon State and Washington State. Just promote him.
Weird. Okay, that said, I'm going out to the Pac-2 tonight. These are apparently the two best teams right now in that league. They are the only two that appear to be deadlock cinches. Arizona is better than Washington State. I just don't think they're 11.5 better. My guess, Billy, do you know what network gets that game tonight?
FS1.
Okay. So we will not be getting Bill Walton.
Oh, thanks. What has he said? What has Bill Walton said now that the Pac-12 is going to be null and void?
You know, I don't really know. I've caught little bits and pieces, but I mean, for a conference that was just nothing but champions.
It's a conference of champions.
You know,
it went away.
We talk about Bucky McMillan. Washington State has a head coach, Kyle Smith, and he's using analytics. He's used analytics to rebuild that program, and I think that's a guy to keep an eye on potentially if a change is made at Vandy. I didn't know who he was. I don't think many people know who he is, but you need to.
Analytics.
There's not one person watching this who knew anything about him.
I didn't until 2 days ago. I was told.
Okay, watch him.
Yeah.
Kyle.
They call it nerd ball. That's
Kyle Smith?
Yeah.
Okay. Good enough. Kelly, you will not be with us tomorrow.
Just picking one, George?
Just one. I'm a little rattled right now.
I mean, good gracious, they've gone into your chin right now, dude. You're scared to death.
One out of my last 6.
This is
that's not going to get it done.
This is like after throwing a couple of picks. You're all right. I'll just hand it off. Let's get a 3-yard gain
he's
here.
He's totally lost his confidence. Coach, I don't want to throw it anymore. Just let me finish this game and get out of here.
Kelly, if you think for 1 minute that I'm just going to bury my head in the sand and quit, oh no. No. The tough get going, and that's me.
That's you, huh?
Yeah, probably go for 1 tonight.
Take that coat home and hang it up, and not use it for again in like 5 years.
Kelly, thank you. Enjoy your day off. We will.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
See y'all.